Welcome back to Explain Through Rap, the channel you love that explains cool facts. If you like our stuff and need the rhymes, like, comment, share, and please subscribe. Research and visuals for this were hella great. Big thanks to Illustrate to Educate. They're an awesome channel, you should check them out. Their stuff is some of the best around. It's about time we did a rap to help us to explain the conflict between the Russians and the Ukraine. Let's start in 1922 to do this once with the creation of the Soviet Union. The union of 15 republican states combined. In 91 the Soviet Union fades and dies. It collapsed and Ukraine declared independence and distanced itself from all the things that went with their old Russian imperialistic legacy to have closer ties with the Western democracy. Since then there have been two revolutions in Ukraine that would soon set the blueprint for rejection of Russian supremacy. They go and protest hard to join EU and also Nato. In 05 they protested, and in 2014, but it died like Sean Bean in a war scene. In 2014 the Ukrainian president at the time, Viktor Yanukovych, was being heavily criticized. He rejected associating with the EU in favor of ties with Russia, but all the peeps knew this was bad for the country, super toxic. As a result, Viktor was removed from office. Russia responded by annexing the Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula to effect a huge change. Putin seemed to support separatist rebels too. The West seemed to accuse Russia of sending troops to back the rebels and monger fear. Russia said those that joined the separatists were volunteers. 14,000 people died in eastern Ukraine amid many evil fights that we heard took place. In 2015 a peace agreement was reached, helped by France and Germany for bleeding to cease, putting large-scale deadly battles to rest, intended to avoid masses of deaths. Although conflict continued in the region, a spike in incidents has been more recent. The peace agreement being breached has been claimed by both sides frequently. 100,000 Russian soldiers had been ordered to go and sit on the Ukraine's eastern border. After accusations the agreement was violated, a four-way meeting was offered to try and make it more friendly and safe, but Russia didn't attend it. Germany and France wanted to help with the mending of relationships with Russia and Ukraine. Russia said nay to the meeting and explained that Ukraine, they're saying, broke the agreement plain, and with a new agreement they do the same. Russia also criticized US and allies of NATO for giving the Ukraine supplies and weapons to take those rebel-held areas by force. Russia don't want this, I'm sure. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia have had 3 presidents ruling them. Putin's ruled for 17 years, he's firmly fixed. Recent laws let him stay until 2036. Putin claims Russia and Ukraine are one people, and Ukraine's share of Russian land is unequal and unfairly received during Soviet times, and aspiring to join NATO is a red line that Russia say just can't be crossed. They see NATO as their most harmful ops. Russia believe NATO want military training centers set up in different places in Ukraine, and Putin seeks legal guarantees with US and their allies for NATO keeping US and exclude NATO moving further east at all for Russia to feel secure on their western border. It is possible that the placement of troops is no coincidence, as Putin's aiming to fuel a boost in nationalist support amid a stumbling economy and the pandemic that has ravaged them all horribly, and the largest anti-Putin protests for years. Losing power is a probable thing he fears. US and NATO have responded. Biden has first put 8,500 troops on heightened alert for potential deployment if NATO decide to activate the NATO response force in time. This is a multinational force of 40,000 troops and possibly may need to be engaged soon, because NATO deems Putin's demands preventing Ukraine joining NATO as weak and offensive and unacceptable, so they'll defend their allies and friends, so it's then fair for European countries to start military preparations like France, Denmark, Spain and other nations. Putin critics say he doesn't fear NATO, he fears Ukrainian democracy that may go and make Ukraine seem a happy and cool alternative to Putin's autocratical rule. If you have a request, please comment that with a topic you want. I'll drop a rap. I'm no politics expert, I'm just nice with the rhymes. It helps the channel if you hit like and subscribe. Subscribe to Illustrate to Educate too. Really great channel and he's a great dude.